Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And we did get a few key updates for the Activision Blizzard acquisition today. Things have been a little bit more stagnant since the CMA's shocking decision to block the deal due to cloud gaming out of all things. But despite the mindset online, kind of gloomy out there right now, but Microsoft still seems more than committed to this buyout. In fact, we actually got some news on that today, as well as also some unhappy campers that are now punching back against the CMA's decision. Meanwhile, though, apparently Sony is shutting down yet another one of their first-party studios. This is never a fun topic to talk about, but we will get into that one as well. As usual, though, do hit those buttons below. Helps the channel a ton, so do like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more content just like this. With that said, though, let's just go and jump right into it. Starting off with Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy did just launch on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 today, but what's kind of crazy here is that they also just confirmed that it's already sold 15 million units worldwide across the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series, and of course also the PC. I mean, this game has been a huge boon for the first half of 2023, and it's played a major part in the PlayStation 5's record-breaking first quarter. The PlayStation 5 just had the best-selling quarter one in history, and Hogwarts Legacy was a big part of that. This game, without a doubt, has proven to be a legitimate system seller. But now, with its availability for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 as well, it will see yet another boost in units sold. And to think, there's actually still one more launch even after this, because Warner Brothers also plans to release Hogwarts Legacy for the Switch later this year. And in fact, today, they admitted that they have even higher expectations in the Switch release than they do with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, especially over in Japan, where the Switch is utterly dominant in that region. So, yeah, Hogwarts Legacy is tracking to not only be one of the best-selling games of this year, but it's also tracking to be just one of the best-selling games this generation, period. And that will likely remain for the entirety of the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5's life cycle. I mean, if anything else, not too shabby for a game that was boycotted and a game that you can't even talk about on Etc. The internet really is a bubble at times. Now, we also got some good news for the Xbox Series and its dilemma with its proprietary expansion cards. This was a choice that they made this generation, where they partnered up with Seagate to make these proprietary memory card-like solid-state drives that you can simply just plug into your Xbox. Just like that, you're ready to go. Now, the ease of use for these things, yes, is nice to have. You don't have to open up your Xbox or anything like that. But at the same time, this, however, does have a pretty major downside as well, and that's the cost. This has become more evident over time because, meanwhile, on the PlayStation 5, while you might have to open up your PlayStation 5 to swap NVMe solid-state drives, not everybody's going to want to do that, but however, because there's more options out there, the prices have dramatically decreased over time. This is something that we haven't really seen with Xbox, or at least until now. About a month or so back, a cheaper Western Digital Xbox expansion card was spotted on Best Buy, and I mean, we talked about this before and how it could eventually drive prices down, and well, lo and behold, Seagate has now responded to that price by officially decreasing their options. As of today, they've permanently dropped the price for the 512GB option down to $90. The 1TB option goes for $150, and then the 2TB card goes for $270. So these are very welcome price reductions, which I think speaks volumes to what competition actually does for consumers. The price drops here was not some simple coincidence. It was a reaction to no longer being the only choice on the market. Now, at the same time, I would still like to see these prices drop even more. You can still pick up non-proprietary NVMe solid-state drives cheaper than these options. But at the end of the day, this is still a big improvement, and I do imagine that this will only continue from here on out. If anything, if you're on the market for a storage expansion, maybe go and keep an eye out for a discount at some point. Since we're on the topic of Xbox and competition, though, we might as well just go and talk about what's happening with the Activision Blizzard acquisition. The mindshare online has taken a pretty drastic shift with the CMA's decision. People are pretty gloomy about this. There's a lot of people that now believes that this deal is officially dead in the water. But Microsoft does not believe that, or at the very least, they're not going down without a fight, and I think rightfully so. Something that we have seen in the aftermath of the CMA's decision is that some tech companies out there are concerned about what just happened. Now, the reason for that is because the CMA basically predicted an outcome for cloud gaming, a very small market right now, and then they decided to preemptively act before it even gets the chance to be big later down the road. So this buyout to Microsoft is now bigger than just simply gaming. They view this as a regulator shutting down innovation to a new market, which affects all buyouts in the future. Something else that we've learned from the aftermath, though, is that the CMA came to some very, we're going to call it strange conclusions to prove their case. One such example is that they counted all Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers as cloud users, which, I mean, is kind of ridiculous because I think we all know that's not even remotely true. People who subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate are not subscribing because of cloud gaming. And I'm fairly positive it's barely used for most people out there. Cloud gaming really is just kind of a bonus for that Xbox Game Pass subscription. So Microsoft is kind of looking at some of this stuff and they're just scratching their heads. They think that they have some very shaky arguments that they could challenge, so they do plan on appealing this decision. Now, they announced this a while back, but some people out there believe that Microsoft was just talking a big game here and that they'll eventually bail out before actually appealing the case, but that's actually not what's happening here. A new report did just come out revealing that Microsoft has now hired a lawyer that has repeatedly defeated the EU as they prepare to appeal in the coming days. Now, I think that there is the surprising part because they're not waiting for the EU's decision. Now, that kind of tells me one of two things here. Either Microsoft is confident the EU will approve the buyout, or that they feel like the CMA legitimately made some mistakes. Now, maybe they even possibly believe both here, but either which way, Microsoft is showing absolutely no signs of backing down, or at least for the time being. Now, if the EU also decides to block it in the coming weeks, Microsoft then might change course, but I mean, I guess we'll see here soon enough. Now, another update here, though, is that Boosteroid is now speaking out against the CMA. If you remember right, Microsoft was signing all of these different 10-year partnerships to kind of soften up regulators. They were basically saying, hey, if you have any concern whatsoever with this buyout, whether that be cloud gaming or consoles, we'll go ahead and sign contracts to prove we intend to put Call of Duty on as many devices as we can. So they signed contracts with Nintendo, Nvidia, and various independent cloud-based companies such as Boosteroid. They were one such partnership, and they are now criticizing the CMA's decision to block. Boosteroid went on to say, we have no evidence that Activision is going to start providing games to cloud platforms in the near future. On the contrary, the cloud gaming community knows that Activision has quite a harsh standing on cloud gaming, which only confirms that most likely they are not going to be available on cloud gaming services in the near future. In theory, it is, of course, possible that their strategy has changed, but we have no information about that and would not speculate. Also, the CMA's ruling is likely to do the contrary to what they are claiming, slowing the innovation and development of cloud gaming by cutting out the Activision's audience from cloud gaming services. The situation where this content is widely available in the cloud has clear benefits to the market, the competition, and most importantly, to the end customer, who would then be able to play high-end Activision games on almost any device, regardless of its processing power or operating system. So, this here is supposedly one of those third-party companies that the CMA apparently is trying to protect. But Boosteroid, they don't really see it that way. Ironically, what they're saying is that if this deal doesn't pass, then all these cloud gaming companies that are craving more content, such as Activision, will actually get less games because Activision will very possibly stay away from the cloud gaming market as they do currently without Microsoft. It's also important to kind of keep in mind here that cloud gaming, again, is in its infancy stage, and Microsoft is kind of acting as a pioneer. Sometimes you do need a big company to invest in a technology like this to really get the ball rolling. But without them, cloud gaming's growth will very possibly slow down dramatically and possibly even completely stall out. For that matter, we have no idea, or really any tangible proof, that cloud gaming will ever have success. Cloud gaming has been around for quite some time, and we've yet to really see it take off. On Live, it failed. PlayStation Now, coming from the market leader, had minimal success. Google Stadia, coming from one of the biggest companies in the world, also failed. So for the CMA to block Microsoft on such a small market that we have no tangible proof of its success in the future, you can view that as questionable, to say the least. Now, next up here, though, unfortunately, it sounds like Sony is shutting down yet another first-party studio, this time being PixelOpus, which previously worked on games like Concrete Genie and Entwined. While Sony has yet to officially announce the studio's closure themselves, PixelOpus took to Twitter to post this. Dear friends, our PixelOpus adventure has come to an end. As we look to new futures, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to the millions of passionate players who have supported us and our mission to make beautiful, imaginative games with heart. We are so grateful. So, yeah, this is very saddening news. It's never fun to talk about a studio closure, and I think in this case, one that comes off as a little bit of a surprise out of nowhere. PixelOpus might not necessarily be Sony's biggest or most well-known studio, but Concrete Genie was a creative, imaginative game that showed that they had a lot of talent and a lot of promise. If anything, I think Concrete Genie kind of showed that they are capable of making bigger games than Entwined, and by all means, it appeared that they were set to grow from that and work on an even bigger project for the PlayStation 5. Based on some different job descriptions, they were indeed hiring for a PlayStation 5 game in collaboration with, interestingly enough, Sony Pictures Animation using Unreal Engine 5. Now, what exactly they were working on together will kind of remain a mystery here, but a collaboration certainly, it piqued a lot of interest. There was speculation that maybe they were working on a movie spinoff like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That would have been kind of interesting. Or maybe they were just working together on some nice fluid animations. Of course, we saw Ember Labs earlier this generation, and they put their movie-related expertise to, absolutely great use. That was a very Pixar-like game. It was beautifully animated, and there was that potential that with a Sony Pictures collaboration, maybe possibly we could have seen something similar with PixelOpus and that collaboration. But unfortunately, though, it looks like whatever they were working on has now been put to rest. Whatever it was, Sony must not have had a lot of faith in it. And one thing that we have seen when it comes to Sony is that they're not afraid to shut down their internal studios. Quietly, this actually makes their 5th closed studio since 2016, including Sony Japan, Guerrilla Cambridge, Evolution Studios, Manchester Studio, and now PixelOpus. Either way, though, I do wish all the employees who lost their job the best of luck going forward. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, and we're going to kind of leave on a little bit more of a high note here, because one thing that we're not short on are big blockbuster releases. If you take a look at the next 60 days, yeah, have fun keeping up. But I wanted to know, out of all of these high-profile releases, which one are you most excited about? And as you can see here, the runaway winner was Zelda with 47% of the votes, then Diablo 4 at 30%, Final Fantasy 16 at 15%, and then last but not least, you have Street Fighter 6 at 7%. Again, good luck keeping up with all of these exciting games. But it does look like the one that most of you all aren't willing to miss out on is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And it's pretty easy to understand why. This is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, after all, a game that many view as one of the greatest games ever made. And, of course, it's also coming from one of the most well-known franchises in the gaming world. For that matter, the final trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, I think, really sold a lot of people. It looks absolutely fantastic, and dare I say, right now, or at least in my opinion, I think it looks even better than Zelda Breath of the Wild. Hey, though, I guess I'm not going to have to wait too long to find out, because it's only 7 days away. I know it's hard to believe, but we are almost there. Diablo 4, though, this game also continues to impress. Most people seemed quite pleased about its beta, and it could ultimately go down as one of the best RPGs this generation if its full release turns out to be just as good, if not even better. One way or the other, regardless of what you picked in this poll, what I do know is that the next 2 months very well might actually be one of the most exciting stretches in gaming history. Yes, in gaming history. So let's just kind of go ahead and hope these games turn out to be as good as they currently look. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.